Let's see. Welcome, everybody. Thank you guys for joining us. Excited to get kicked off today and get things started. Um, just a heads up, this session is being recorded. So if that's something that you would not like, you need to go ahead and hop off now and we can get you the recording later. But we will be recording today's session. So first, I want to thank Demetrius and Julie for joining me today. To talk about Copilot and Evolve 365 for Copilot. So we're going to get started. And the first thing we want to do is just talk a little bit about what Evolve is. Evolve 365 is our full suite solution for everything training and user adoption. And so we know that our users are going to need a lot of resources to help them get started as we're doing different things inside of Office 365. But we also know you can't just provide training without context. And so Evolve 365 is a solution where we have learning strategists along with platform and content where we can pull together all of the things to get the users the information they need to truly be successful with the tools and technologies and for you guys to really get the ROI for the investments you're making. As we come across Copilot, things change just a little bit. And so going into it, the first thing I want to do is introduce Demetrius, who's going to kind of walk us through some of the things we're already starting to hear with our customers. There's so much excitement around Copilot, what's coming, what it can do. And on the Evolve team, we've been being very responsive to it and building out different solutions that help meet some of these needs. But Demetrius, why don't you kick us off and talk to us about some of the problems and the use cases that we're seeing in the industry right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jennifer. In our conversation we're having with customers always ask, when they go and get Copilot, the question is, okay, so, the now what questions start to happen, right? And those now what questions, kind of start around, all right, we've made a significant investment in Copilot. Most likely it's probably the most significant end-user facing investment that an organization has made since M365 came out. And they want to know, how do I ensure we're getting the value proposition, the value propositions we communicate to our stakeholders when we agreed to position this. They have questions around ethics and governance. How are they going to achieve that? How are they going to ensure that their users are following certain prompt guidelines? They want to talk about, hey, how do we stay up to date with a technology that's designed to be have a more rapid pace change than we're used to, and that's seen a lot in an industry where the only constant we have is change. And so these are questions that we're going to walk through today. How Evolve 365 helps with that.
Awesome. All right. So first up, talk to us about what are people thinking when they come into this and they're making these big investments? Are they thinking about training, or are they realizing the connection between training and getting that investment?
Yeah, I think the training aspect is usually the secondary thought, right? It's like, I got it. Okay, how do we ensure our users are actually using it, know how to use it? We have different roles. Everybody's going to use it differently. The marketing person is going to use it different than the financial person. And they start asking these questions around, oh my God, from an OCM perspective, how do I approach this? Because again, it's not only being able to protect the investment, but ensure you're getting that business value that you communicated. And so with Evolve, Jen, I'll let you talk about how we map those and address those concerns.
Yeah, we're looking a lot at the persona-based training. And so being able to personalize things for an agency. So we can go in and say, you know what, we have these different personas that are using it. So we might have somebody in marketing who's using it. And it's so important to note that not only are they going to use Copilot differently, but they're going to talk to it differently. They tend to be a more creative and agile person in how they think and how they talk. So we have to teach them to build out these prompts that are going to get them the right type of information. Whereas someone in accounting or data sciences, they're going to be very analytical and they're going to think about things differently. And even how they structure the prompts is going to be totally different. And so we want to be able to give them the right training. One size fits all training isn't going to work for both scenarios. People aren't going to get get the same type of results, they're going to have to make Copilot work for them. And so we want to do some things around the persona-based training, but then also promptathons and hackathons. We hear a lot about hackathons. So now we're going into Copilot, so we can call them promptathons. This is where we're going to pull a group of people together and say, hey guys, what are these common tasks that you're working on? And then we're going to say, okay, how could we use Copilot to cut down the time that you're taking to do this task or to improve the results of the task? And so by pulling them together, we can show them firsthand the things that they're doing, and it becomes an interactive session so that there's idea sharing across the organization, and then one idea will spring to another. So this, along with scenario-based workshops, champions, programs, all of these things, we're going to really go in and personalize the content so that it matches how your users work so that we can get the efficiencies across the entire organization. So what do you think about that, Demetrius? How do you think that would translate back into meeting the mission objectives?
I think that's a great start, because when you it'll help our organization start to be able to quantify the results of Copilot, the other Copilot investment, which is what they're going to have to do at some point, so especially after the first year, right? I think a lot of times, we would like to, as technologists, part of me says, hey, we should go buy this because it's cool, right? But cool doesn't make business cases, right? And so business cases have to be presented, and those business cases need to live up to what was promised, and so show value back to all the stakeholders in terms of, hey, this is how it improved efficiency for these different groups. Here's how they're using it, and it's actually doing more than what we anticipated when we invested in this technology. So I think this is a great start.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, but as soon as we start giving it, we hit this next point, which is about the ethics and governance and how do we track all that. So I'd love to get your thoughts on what we're seeing across the industry, and is there a true fear there? Is I have to turn it off, or is it I have to turn it on with caution?
Yeah, I think it's hey, should I turn it on? And I have to turn it on with caution, but help me get the warm and fuzzy that I need to be able to turn it on and ensure and trust my end users with it. And that's a large ask. And a lot of times it's not really as hard as it seems, but it's a question that usually comes again post procurement, right? And so a lot of times what we say is, how do they start wondering about, how do I know what they're usually going to ask and how they're going to ask the questions, how those results will be effective, are they going to see, is it going to be successful, not just from a security perspective, but also from a perspective of, we all understand that no matter the technical implementation success, if the users don't know how to use the tool, it will not be viewed as such, right? And so understanding, hey, what's my governance plan? How do I ensure that users are being ethical when they're interacting with this AI is a concern that a lot of organizations are having in terms of being able to turn it on beyond an initial subset of users. And so from a Copilot's perspective, if they start trainers asking, so is there a governance strategy? How can I do it? What are the things I should know? And so with that, Jen, I'll let you talk about how I walk through step by step with that.
Yeah, this one's been a fun one, because as we started to look at it, we knew everyone would have governance, and we knew people's governance would be similar, but everyone's is just a little bit different. And so what we've done with the Evolve 365 for Copilot is we have a collection of customizable governance videos. And so what that means is, as part of your onboarding, we're going to review that governance that we have and then update the videos to match what is set in your environment, and film videos that are going to help guide your users on how you want them to interact with Copilot. And so you get all the breadth of the standard content, the how do I use it, but you're able to incorporate your vision and your policies, your requirements on top of that. And so you can ensure and guide and make sure that users have taken all of this training, maybe even before they've been given access to Copilot. And those are all things that we can do within Evolve. The learning strategist can help you get it set up, help you require the training, and say, hey, if everyone's going to be a Copilot user, first you need to understand this aspect of it, and you need to be able to take the training and understand how to act ethically with the systems that we're providing. And I think that that's going to become something that people are probably refreshing every year, and you're going to have required training as just the technology changes and the industry moves forward, for sure.
Absolutely, because your compliance officers will likely ask, what's our approach for responsible AI? Have we thought about that? And having that governance strategy and talk about what your approach is to responsible AI when interacting with Copilot will be significant in that conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then, moving on, features are changing. I cannot believe how fast features are changing. I think every day I look on LinkedIn and there's a new person from Microsoft posting something new that they did, and I'm like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah. And typically I would say in a lot of organizations, you always have, those handful of resources, if not, one or two that, hey, they seem to always be up to date on every single thing. And you wish you could duplicate those people, right? But, you say, okay, how do I make sure my organization at whole or at large has the information they need at their fingertips to be able to say, you know what? I need to be able to keep with all the features that come out. Things continuously evolve, not only with 365, but also with Copilot specifically. What came out today, and is that content going to be available for my users? How do I train them consistently? Do I need to just have training every week? That's probably unreasonable, right? So, from a Evolve 365 for Copilot, we want to talk about how we help address that concern from your perspective.
Yeah, and it's really great. Our Evolve team, our learning strategists, we're constantly looking at that roadmap. We know the features that are coming. We're getting new content pushed out. Our Copilot content has actually doubled in the last 2 weeks, and so I thought that's great. It just continues to grow and grow. And I think what's great about the new features that are coming out, because we have such a relationship with our customers and we know how they're using the technology, not only can we tell you when a new feature is coming out, but we can help you understand how that could impact your users and how we could take that. And it's not just, hey, here's this new widget and you turn it this way. It's, hey, here's how you can use this to make writing a proposal easier. Here's how you can use this to make writing a grant easier. And so that's the way that we can implement the new technology. And it's also, we have seen year after year with our customers, their education builds on top of each other. And so they may have a long period of time where they're doing a lot with Excel. And then Excel transfers over into Power BI training. And then when do I use what? And how do I grow that skill set? First I want to start learning about SharePoint list. Well, then what's the next thing I want to do? I want to start automating them. Well, it's going to be the same thing with Copilot. If Copilot can help me do this, can it help me do that? And then, the feature might not be there today, but it may be there in the future. And so constantly knowing what's coming and changing and adapting could be a really great way for your users, continuous training to be able to say, hey, we have webinars every month and we do, on-demand training is always there. The latest is always in this spot. And so just being able to make that available and then also available for clouds. So our Evolve content is based on the cloud that you're in. So if you're in a GCC or GCCH cloud, we know that the content features for Copilot are going to be a little bit different. And so we've got the training based on the cloud that you're accessing and that you're using. So all good things there. It's really, really exciting to see some of the things that we're doing there. And so, just kind of as a summary, Copilot for Evolve 365, we're going to have all the training for all of the features, but then on top of that, we have the customizable training videos, persona-based learning paths, and those will continue to grow out. We've got promptathons and hackathons, ask me anything sessions where people can just come in and bring a problem, and then the learning strategist will work with them on it. We've got end user coaching, which is some one-on-one help. If someone's got a problem, but they're not really comfortable asking it in a group session, but they want to ask it one-on-one and work with a learning strategist, we have support for that as well as a champions program. Because what we've seen from all the studies that are coming out is that users are learning from each other. And so what one person is doing internally, it's helping them, and then they're sharing that information with others. And so you want to have a structure or a way that you're capturing that information, and it doesn't just become brain share that isn't really shared with the organization. We want to give them a platform to share that information with the organization so everyone can benefit from it. And so those are some of the things that we've just naturally built into Evolve 365, and especially Evolve 365 for Copilot, that we can pull out these things and highlight on these features. And so I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Julie right now, who's going to give us a demo of some of the features that we have there. So Julie, if you'll take it away, that would be fantastic.
All right, thank you so much. So I've just shared my screen and we are looking at Evolve 365. This is one of our trial sites. So if you're interested in taking a peek at this yourself, let us know and we can get you access to a free trial after this call. Our Copilot content is something that is continuing to grow, as Jennifer mentioned. So currently, we have our Copilot content broken up into the different applications that it is supporting, with the capability for us to kind of dig in and learn more about, let's say, Copilot for Edge or PowerPoint, Word, Teams, whatever we might need. The Power Automate, just a quick, simple story here of a use case. I think that, when we're talking about the different ways that Copilot can be extremely useful, it is also just a tool that's going to make simple processes super fast as well. Was trying to build a Power Automate the other day, and rather than having to search through all of the templates to find what I was looking for, I was able to tell Copilot what I was trying to do, and it built the template for me in a snap. And I was able to just get on and move through. So this is something that we're able to train on then, of course. And as those scenarios become available, the learning strategist will help work with you to capture those in training. So if we see a process that is being repeated or repeatable, that could be effective for other areas of the organization, we would want to curate a learning path, which we have a ton available here. For instance, our Create Effective Prompts for Copilot. This is a great course to get started with Copilot and learn how to create effective prompts. And we set these up to help introduce users into lessons, activities, and quizzes, which help with retention. But these are all self-paced learning that folks can enroll in on their own, or as admins on the site, we can actually publish these to users either as suggested or mandatory. So
And
if we
these are great things that are even follow up from when we do a promptathon or a hackathon. Because if we're doing a promptathon and everyone's in the room and they're focused on the thing, they may not retain all of the how. And so we're able to use these as even follow up. And so the learning strategist is going to be very aware of all the training that's available. And then as a follow up to these sessions, go ahead and send that out. So you're really getting that complete, cohesive experience because you have someone, that learning strategist, that's paying attention to all of the pieces and helping pull it together for the user.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll add to the fact that a lot of times when organizations are looking to deploy their Copilot, they want to make sure that their users understand how to prompt. So as Julie stated, this could be something that you could require your users take and then be able to track who's taking it before you actually assign them a Copilot license. So it's just another great tool to have in your arsenal.
Absolutely. And I'm going to pop open just one of our individual videos. So we were looking at a course, which is a compilation of training. But I did want to also just point out the individual video training content that we have is always accompanied by a companion tab. So we have the steps that are in the video to help folks kind of view and read along. And then we do offer a site feedback or video content feedback where we can have the users rate the content and share comments with us. So if there are ways to improve, we are always looking to do that. And then we also offer our content in different languages, should that be a need for your users. But yeah, that's part of it. And then just so we're going back to our learning campaigns, our learning paths, I also wanted to share some of our persona-based training that we have created. The one thing to note about any of the learning paths or the courses that we're looking at is that we can make tweaks and changes to these, but we can also create them from scratch. So anything that we have available is a great place to start. And should we need to make adjustments to customize them, we definitely would. And if we wanted to add some of those customized governance videos to any of these courses, we'd be able to do that as well. let me pop open our harnessing
Yeah, and
Copilot here. Yeah.
just to give you an example of one of the personas is I was talking with a customer this past week, and they have a grant process that they work on. And so they have a team that has to respond to grants. And so they wanted to find out, hey, could we have a persona that's about using Copilot to respond to grant requests quicker? And so that was one of the personas that we talked about doing. So if you can think about what are the things that my users are going to do every day, whether it seems like a small task or a big task, the learning strategist is there to help you kind of identify those and then pull different pieces of information together to really get it a powerful, customizable, immediate tool for your users.
Absolutely. So this is just one example of the persona skill tracks or learning paths that we have created. So this one's harnessing Copilot for data analysis. And we have the lessons, which again are just short playlists of videos. These courses are meant to be self-paced, so users can actually watch a single video and come back to this lesson should they need to, and it saves the progress. So we don't have to finish everything all at once. These check marks will turn green, so we know exactly where we are. As we finish full lessons and activities, check marks become available here for us to see very quickly where we left off. And we can kind of keep moving through the course at our own pace. Now, as admins, if that is something, again, that we want to publish to users as mandatory, we can offer completion certificates. We can do a bit of gamification with badges of completion. We also offer the capability of doing different compliance items. If we need people to finish the course by a certain date, we can offer end dates with reminders telling folks who haven't completed to come back to the training to complete at a certain time frame, and a lot of different things with the quizzes. Should we want to put a specific grade that they have to meet before moving on, we can do that. These are very versatile, and they're also something that we can look deeply into the reports with. So our reporting is pretty robust in terms of what we can capture for the skill tracks. And on the site itself, should you have just the Copilot training content available or the Copilot with our Microsoft 365 content, you'll be able to capture all of the site activity and what folks are actually watching and doing on the site. What's most popular? What are people coming to?
Julie, give me an example of how this data is used by a learning strategist, because this looks like hundreds and hundreds of pages of reports. So why do we have so many reports, and what are some of the benefits or the things that we might pull from it, and then what actions would we take?
Yeah, great question. So the learning strategist is going to be looking at these probably at a minimum monthly, and making sure to curate information about site activity in terms of date. So if I pop down here to our site activity, we see a small spike in activity. Now this is a trial site, so hopefully we see larger spikes, of course. But what I want to look at in terms of being a learning strategist is, did we send a communication on this date? Did we ask users to take training? And if we did, this is success. So we're looking for spikes in activity when we're actually sharing and asking people to train. And then we're also looking for spikes in activity when maybe we do a live training and the days after. So were we able to connect users to the training so that they could self-serve after we did some kind of hands-on training or learning in a live setting? We're also looking at the subjects. So if we have the most popular subject as Microsoft Teams, well, that's great. But what about Teams are they looking at? So I can pop in and look at the specific folks that are actually training. I can change this to the actual video content that's being watched. And I can see that people are looking at file sharing, polls, posts, different things like that. And so there's two things that I can see from this. If we have just a handful of folks looking at that content, that means that it could be interesting to a larger group of people. And so we might want to run a campaign on that and actually share out or target training to those, to the larger staff. The other thing that we might be looking at is if people are looking at Teams file sharing, should we then start to discuss OneDrive and SharePoint as well? What's the difference between the three, and how do we help users understand that so that they know when to use which tool? So there's a lot of different information from the reporting and what folks are watching that we are taking in to see when should we be sharing communications based on activity that we see on the site. What types of things are people interested in, and how can we share that with a larger community? And then also, if you're a commercial or education or GCC customer, we have the capability of connecting to the M365 usage reports, which allows us to see usage inside of the site correlated to the training. So are the folks on the site who are training in Copilot and the other M365 tools, are they actually using those tools then in M365? And we're able to see that, nothing in terms of personal identifiable information, just usage and dates and things like that, tools, features. And then we're able to take that information and say, we're not seeing a lot of file sharing, maybe internally with OneDrive. Let's run a campaign on how to do that. Let's show best practices around sharing links rather than attaching to emails. And so we can really start to train users, share awareness information, and really get folks interested in the different things that the tools can provide them.
And it's great because data's key here, right? And so knowing what users are doing, and then having somebody, that's the beauty of having a learning strategist, that they're looking at it. And so they're aware of what's going on in the industry. A lot of times we'll get asked, well, what are other organizations similar to my size, other agencies similar to my size? What are they seeing? And so by having that learning strategist and those team of learning strategists that are able to look and share this information, you're really able to pull out some valuable features. So by having us look at the data, we're committed to looking at it. We're doing it all the time. It's not like you have to bring in a system and have another person that's assigned and looking at it. We're looking at this data and helping translate it for you to say, hey, this is the behavior we're seeing. This is what we want to see. Here's the training that we recommend. And so having that learning strategist with access to these reports is it's invaluable when we're looking at, trying to get our ROI and trying to empower our users and gain adoption. That's great, Julie. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And a couple other spots just to share. I know we talked about the live training and the coaching, the one-on-one coaching. We do have the ability to actually post all of our live trainings on Evolve so that folks can come to one location and register. So if we're doing Copilot live training, we can have the events available on the dates. This is showing in everybody's time zone. So if Jennifer's on the East Coast, I'm a Mountain, it's going to show us each individually when these events are actually happening. And then for the one-on-one coaching, this schedule allows me as a learning strategist to actually put availability onto a calendar for end users to actually schedule with me one-on-one to ask how-to questions. So maybe a user's not getting the prompt quite right. They can schedule with a learning strategist, and we can share best practices for prompting to get appropriate information or to actually get the end result that they're looking for, specifically with Copilot, of course.
And a lot of those a lot of those coaching sessions will lead into either private training for a division or for a group. A lot of times they'll come to a coaching session because they know there's help out there, but they just don't know what they should be looking at. Maybe they're overwhelmed by all of the options. So a lot of times we're able to guide them in and get them to the right level of training. And so coaching has been really effective. We can also train up others internally to be coaches. So if you wanted self-coaching done in the organization or agency, we could get a group of champions and train them up, and they could make some availability to help out other internal users as well. So it's a great way to do knowledge share across the entire agency. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, Julie, is there anything else inside of the learning portal that you want to show us today?
The only other feature that I just can't get enough of is our Solution Center tool. And so it really is a helpful sharing tool from inside of the Evolve platform. Essentially, what I'm offered here is the capability of searching for training content, building an email, and sending it directly to a user from this page. And so I can actually use the search criteria that I would for my keyword searching inside of this as well. So, you know, a really good use case for Solution Center would be help desk personnel, those content champions that we've been talking about. Anybody who's getting questions from others is a good person to have access to this space. And I can actually look at the Copilot content and look at keywords. Maybe I'm looking for information about charts. Let's see if this pops up for me. You can see that it's pulling information from the site based on that criteria. And I can actually view this from here to make sure that it's appropriate for what I'm trying to do. But if I want to just pop a couple of those links into an email, I just address this to the user or group of users. It just has to be an email address, so it could be a distribution list, and I could send it straight from the site. And so this really helps us share information with users, but also share the information that they can come to Evolve to self-help before they might call into the support desk. Or if they need a quick answer to a question, they can come here before tracking down that content champion.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Julie. I'm going to take back over the screen here now and talk through the pricing and the options that we have there. And so if you're an existing Evolve 365 customer, you can just go ahead and contact your Planet cloud strategist, your Planet account manager, and we'll get you guys access to some of that Copilot training right now. New customers, there's a per user cost plus the human services provided by our learning strategist. So what we're going to do is we're going to work with you guys one-on-one to determine what services are going to make the most sense. Is it going to be weekly webinars instead of webinars? Do we need to do one like 10 hours of training a month, 20 hours of training? Like what's going to work best for your organization? So nothing's one size fits all. We can customize it and scale it to fit your needs across the organization. And so we can add it to our existing catalog, like Julie said, so you can get all of M365 plus Copilot, or we have just Copilot solutions. So we're really here to customize it and to help you and get you access to a learning strategist that can help you guys bring that change, bring that adoption to your organization. So Demetrius, I think that kind of sums everything up. Do you have any closing thoughts for us as we kind of look at this? And what are you most excited about when you look at Copilot and Evolve 365 for Copilot? What gets you the most excited?
I think the thing that gets me the most excited about this is our persona-based training. Just knowing that a lot of times when organizations do training, it's typically geared at a one-size-fits-all. Knowing that all your users are different, they're all going to interact with it different, and being able to address it based on their job function is extremely exciting for me. I think as in my former life, this would have been so where I had a large organization, this would have been invaluable to me because I can target campaigns for those particular users. I can target specific training for those users, letting them know when that training is going to be. It's great to get the overall training on how to use it and how to prompt, but it's also great to be able to specify that training for those individual users. So that's where I'm excited. That's where I'm most excited about.
That's great. Now, I did have a last slide on here that we will follow up in a summary with the email because my last slide seems to be missing. But on it, we had a link to our website. And so our call to action out of this today was to let us know if you want to have a customized demo where we can come in and talk about your personas, talk about the things that we could do for you, as well as if you want access to the trial site, we have a link there where you can go get access to the trial site. It's on our o365support.com website, but I will go ahead and grab that URL and put it in the chat window here. And if there are any questions inside of the group, I'd love to, take some time, and Demetrius, Julie, and I can answer any questions that you guys have.
So we have a shy group today.
We do. I love it. I just put the link in there for the trial. So if you'd like to contact us to get more information, then again, we'll follow up with an email where you guys can reach out, and we'd be happy to come together and do a private demo for your team. So Demetrius and Julie, thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us. And thank you for everyone who joined us in the audience. And we look forward to talking with you more about Copilot and everything you guys have going on in the future. So thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.